So far we've talked about mission resolution. What is it that you're resolving to do? What's your God-given mission? We've also looked at creating roles around you as a leader that can complement you and help you build a great team. And now we come to thinking about the very important task of recruiting. Recruiting is a real game changer, because if you can recruit the right people to the right roles, then it's going to strengthen your mission. If you can't do that, sometimes it causes leaders to sort of have to change or downgrade what it is they're trying to do, because the people that you're leading with really do make a difference. So this is an important chapter on the art of recruiting people and how to think about getting the right people on board with your mission. So in the chapter I teach 6 elements or 6 things that you need to look for in recruiting people to your team. Now, given that in your roles, perhaps some of the roles have a less upfront impact and some of them have a greater impact, you'll need to think about how important each of these elements are, depending on the size of the influence of the people that you're going to recruit. If someone has a big influence in your team, then you're going to need to recruit really, really well and think very, very hard about this. If someone has a smaller influence, there might be some areas where they need to grow, and you can give them the room to do that. One of the things I talk about, which is just essential in recruiting, is character. To have people who have the right character not only makes a great difference to the strength of your team. People with strong character make for strong teams, but it also helps your team have longevity, because people of character will be able to go the distance and stick with you as you press into the mission that God has for you. So one of the areas I look at is character, and just how important it is to recruit people that God has really shaped in the area of their character. Another important one that's often overlooked in recruiting is the importance of having people who are cooperative on your team. If you recruit people that just want to do their own thing, if you recruit people that perhaps think it's all about them, then you're going to have all sorts of internal strife. So one of the things that I teach in this chapter is what to look for and how important it is to have people that are willing to cooperate with others on your team and others in your church, because if you're a part of a church, and many of you will be, then you need to cooperate with other teams and other leaders, the senior pastor, for example, in the life of your church. So having a cooperative spirit is really, really important. So having given 6 things to look out for when you're recruiting a leader, I actually finished the chapter by talking about, okay, if you know who to look for, what sort of character and those sorts of things, how then do you actually go about finding them? How do you go about recruiting them? So the chapter finishes with some tips that I think are really helpful. Again, this book is very practical. It's built for emerging leaders, so it's teaching you kind of common sense leadership things. This chapter gives some really practical advice on how to go about finding those people who are going to fulfill those roles. Moses had a big task in selecting leaders, particularly those leaders that were going to lead thousands. You've got a big task too in finding and recruiting those people who are going to fulfill those key roles on your leadership team. And so I want to encourage you to think deeply about this, to reflect on the content of the chapter. And I believe if you do that, God will really strengthen you as a leader and someone who's able to recruit the right people for the right roles on your team.